Hey artists, in this video I'm going to show you how we're going to be doing our printmaking today. So you're going to get a piece of paper taped to styrofoam. You're drawing on the paper first, and I want you to think about either objects that describe you or objects that describe your family. So for example, in this one that I've done right here, I drew things related to my family. So I like to draw. My older son likes dinosaurs. My young son is a baby, so I included a bottle. And my wife loves basketball. So you can make it about your family, or you can make it just about you. So you decide which way you want to go. So in this one, I'm going to draw a few things about myself. So I like to run. So I'm going to draw a shoe. And this one, the paper is mostly just for you to practice on. So just kind of working out your ideas. So I like to do that. I like to draw or paint. So I'm going to do a painting palette this time. And I might include a paintbrush as well. So draw a few things about each of those things being about you, or you have it be about your family. You can choose which way you prefer to go. I like to build things, and I like to work outside, so I'm going to include a shovel as well. So there's me kind of working out my ideas. So work out your ideas and kind of plan them over here. Once you have your drawing planned out, you have one of two ways that you can get it on the styrofoam. You can do what I did here, which is where I switched to a pen. I looked at what I drew, and then I drew it again. You notice I added some details, like I added a few trees, and I tried to improve my drawing a little bit, and I added this grass. So you can look at what you did and draw it again, and probably add some details. If you like what you did and you're like, ugh, I can't draw it again just like that, Mr. Salad, then the other option you can do. So option one, again, is that I can look at what I drew and I can draw it again. So I can look at that shoe and I can draw it a second time. That's option one. Option two is I can close this up, paper on top, and I'm going to trace my artwork. And I'm pressing down to apply some pressure. And that's going to leave an indentation that you can faintly see. So you'll want to trace it a second time. This time without the paper in the way. And I would do that for the entire drawing, tracing over all of it until I get my artwork. So the advantage of doing it this way is that it gets to be exactly like what you drew the first time. So if you like what you did the first time and you want it to look exactly like it, I suggest you do it this way. If you want to make some improvements, look and sketch it again. Alright, so once you have this done, then what you're going to do, like I've done here, is you're using just regular markers to color the styrofoam. Coloring all of it. Anything you don't color will not show up. So if I don't color this dinosaur skull, it won't show up. If I don't color this pencil, it won't show up. Gotta color everything. Once you've colored everything, you'll have some larger pieces of paper. You don't need this paper anymore, so you can take it off, keep it, or recycle it. But you need a big paper. This is what we're printing on. And you're going to need a little bit of water. We're going to dip our fingers in there. And we're just rubbing water all the way across the paper. Why are we using our fingers, Mr. Seiler, instead of a brush, because you're more likely to not add a ton of water this way. You'll add a lot more water if you're dipping something in it like a brush that's going to hold a lot of moisture. We don't want a lot of moisture. We just want it to be damp. So it feels a little wet. It is not drippy. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this side that I just put water on, and I'm going to put that on top of my printing block that I colored with the marker, and I'm going to gently rub it. I want to make sure that I touch all of the sides. I'm going to trace the edges, and notice how I'm holding it down with one hand while I'm rubbing with the other hand. That way it stays in place, it doesn't wiggle. Alright, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to look at my print, and there is my print. So a few things. If it turned out great, fantastic, print again. If it did not turn out great, there's a few things you can look for. If it's blurry, you added too much water. Add less water this time. If you can't see it, you didn't add enough water. More water this time. If you're totally happy with it, fantastic. In either case, whether you love it, hate it, or anything in between, what you're going to do then, color it again. You can color it the same way. You can color it a different way. I like coloring it a different way each time, just to get a little bit of variety. So this time, instead of doing all of those details and doing everything different, which took a long time, but it was worth it because I like how the print turned out. This time I'm going to do it different, and instead I'm just going to color the whole thing the same way. So I did purple and green stripes. I'm going to do sort of a plaid pattern. So I'm going to go across those with some green just to see how this turns out. You never know how something's going to turn out until you try. Alright, so I colored it again. Same steps apply. I colored it. I wet my paper. Put it on top and rub. Pull it off. And see, that time didn't quite turn out as well. I didn't have as much water as I probably needed. So I'll adjust, I'll try again with a little bit more water in some places, like over there. But there you go. That's how you do your printmaking.